here we go. So this is going to be our first segment with Michelle, and Michelle and I decided to get together and share her knowledge. She has a great website called it's called A Spirit's Voice, right, Michelle?
Correct.
And so, Michelle, can you tell everybody a little bit about you and what your experience is and what we're doing here today?
Hello. I am a medium. I communicate with energies on the other side, loved ones, my spirit guides, your spirit guides, ancestors, masters, whoever's on the other side and they want to connect, then that's what I do. I channel.
Right. And I think, I've known you for a while, and I'm so excited to do this with you because my personal experience with you has always been very enlightening, and it's exciting for you to share your experiences with everybody else because we're going to talk about a lot of different subjects. And I think one of the biggest subjects that you and I talked about is the fact that there's such a misunderstanding about people that have gifts like you and what that means exactly in the world. So could you, in the easiest way possible, explain to people kind of how you learned about this, how you knew that you had gifts, and kind of how it took off from there?
Sure. My earliest memory was when I was 4. I was visited by a beautiful woman, and she would tell me to pull on my hair to make it straight. Long story short, I found out that that was my grandmother who passed before I was born. So through that, I just listened and didn't talk much about it to my family or anything. Did bring it up a couple of times to my mom. That's how I found out that it was my grandmother that I was communicating with. As I got older, it became more of a, I don't want to say burden, but it was getting scary because I was innocently just sharing information with people that would bump into me, just being me. And it wasn't being received like I thought it would be received. I'm sharing out of love, but it wasn't being received with love. So I shut down, and the more I shut down, the louder it became. And fast forward, my 17, 18 is when it really started hitting me harder, and made my teenage years very difficult because I couldn't communicate it to anybody.
Yeah.
Had visions of dear friends being something bad happening to them. Okay. And that came into fruition, which changed everything for me. I couldn't deny it anymore. So
sure.
Does that help?
Yeah, it really does, because I think, what people want to know is, how does this come to you? What do you do when you get this information? Like when you wake up first thing in the morning, do you see apparitions? Do you hear things? How does it work exactly?
So before I learned to discern it, because there are so many energies that let me explain it to you this way. If you're walking into a department store, you open the doors and you see all these people, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, they're shopping, so for me, when I open my eyes in the morning, it's like opening that door to the store. There's lots of people and they all are shopping for their loved one,
okay,
so to speak. So before I understood how to discern it, it would just be a lot. It sounded like people talking on a radio.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but it wasn't fine-tuned.
Okay.
So it was a bunch of static noise, like a lot of whispering and, which for somebody that isn't aware of what is going on, they could think that they were going a little crazy, right?
Yeah.
Been there, done that. So,
yeah.
So I think it's important that I do share that if you do hear that inner voice or inner voices, it's it's spirits, your guardians, it's your ancestors trying to communicate with you.
Okay.
Okay. So once I understood how to discern, which took me years to understand that, now when I open my eyes in the morning, I start off with prayer and gratitude.
Okay.
So it's who I allow in. Usually the people that show up now in the morning when I open my eyes are the ones that are in line for the readings of that day.
Okay.
So they're just checking in.
I love that so much. I mean, I have found a lot of peace and comfort speaking with you because I think like most people, I was raised thinking when your body has passed, you're gone. And there's no way to communicate with anybody after that point. That's what I was led to believe. But I remember as a youngster thinking that just seems wrong to me. That doesn't make sense that you would just be gone. So it's been so enlightening to have conversations with you, to hear that there are ways to communicate and to learn things. And for me, it's been helpful. But one of the things I was so curious with you is knowing spirits must know then who they can reach out to, who's open. Like, how does that work exactly? Like, how did they find you in particular?
So what I have been told through doing this for years is that we are like a light in a very dark place.
Okay.
So it's a matter of the door of opportunity opening, and
Okay.
spirit sees that. You know,
Okay.
it's energy. You know,
Okay.
so they just know. They
Okay.
just know who they can connect to. You
Interesting.
and the receiver, let's just say you, Melinda, say that you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you heard something in your head, or somebody say, don't turn left.
Yeah.
That is your spirit guide or one of your loved ones that have crossed that is trying to direct you out of danger.
Okay.
Or you wake up and you're going on a business trip, and you just get that overwhelming feeling like I have to change the flight, or
Yeah.
you get delayed. That's all spirit. That's all
Yeah.
spirit protecting you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't pay attention to that.
True. Yeah, that's very true. So, I know part of the concerns for people that haven't had these experiences, what I hear from people that when I share my experiences say, oh, that's scary, or oh, you shouldn't mess with that, that's bad. How have you ever had an issue with like a darker spirit or anything harmful trying to tap into your energy or your light?
Yes,
Okay, what
I
do you
have.
do? How do you distinguish? What do you do about that?
Um, well, you learn to always protect yourself.
Okay.
And in the beginning, I didn't know that I had to. I thought that I
Sure.
was protected.
Of course.
And I was put through that challenge with my son's father. It
Okay.
was a very dark energy,
Okay.
and which pulled in dark energy.
Sure.
And that was the scariest time of my life.
Hmm.
Okay. People talk about demons and the devil and all
Sure.
of that. It's just a way for people to identify with energy that is a very low vibration.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you feel that low vibrating energy, it feels dark.
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know so you learn to protect yourself. You say a prayer of protection of white light around you, however you want to put yourself in that bubble, and the
Yes.
people that you love. That's how you protect yourself, because they can't low vibrating energies can affect you as long as you don't allow it.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
People that are walk this earth unconscious,
Yes.
and a lot of people do.
Yes.
Those are the ones that tend to have that negativity happen in their lives, because it's just like attracts like.
Yes, that makes sense. So along that same vein, the conversations or the pushback I've gotten from people when I explain how thrilling it is to have this kind of contact, they say, "Oh, well, then you don't believe in God or you don't, you're,"
Mhm.
and I want you to share that that's exactly the opposite of what is true. So
Yeah.
share that with so people can understand really how beautiful this is.
It really, it is God. What I do is God. It is God, it's Goddess, it's the universe, however you, it's Buddha, it's however you want to define that loving omnipotent energy. So be it. But this is of love and light. This is not harm. And everything is light and dark. There's light and dark to everything. So I'm not going to sit here and say that there are people that are gifted like I am that use it in a positive way.
Right.
Some people use it to manipulate. So I can tell you that the the majority of light workers are light workers. They are chosen to
Yeah.
spread the word of light and love. Period. That's it.
Yes. And that's why I'm so glad you said it that way because I feel like at least in the United States, I can't speak for other countries because I've only lived here.
Mhm.
In the United States, people that have given me pushback on opening up to spirit or opening up speaking to an intuitive that knows what they're doing, the pushback I've gotten is it's wrong, it's bad, you shouldn't do this. And so what would you say to those people that have the wall up? Because I feel like in the United States, we've been taught to not participate in connecting with spirit. What do you say to that?
I say for the people who believe that this is it, because that's basically what you're saying is those people that butt against intuitives and light workers and thinking that don't believe that there is life after this life.
Yeah.
I say that energy is constant. You can't destroy energy,
Yeah.
and energy communicates. And I'm living proof that energy does communicate. So when you leave this physical body, you have to remember that we are not humans experiencing a spiritual life. We are spiritual beings experiencing a human life.
Yes.
So I, I say to those people who don't believe is, I would say that if you have experienced a loved one that has passed, um, ask that loved one to give you a sign, a specific sign.
Yes.
If you can see behind me, my altar,
Yeah.
do you see all the hearts
Yes.
everywhere? Okay,
Yes.
those are all gifts from my son
Oh,
from the other side.
okay. Yeah.
So this is his way of communicating with me. This
Yeah.
is his altar. I mean, as you can see, you see the heart
Yeah.
and this, so that's how Jay communicates with me. So I would say to those who don't believe in it, give it that challenge.
Yes.
Another interesting thing, spirits are so wonderful. I think the way that they like to be validated is, let's say you're going along and you're thinking about a loved one that's crossed, and you look down and there's a penny on the ground.
Okay.
That is another way of letting you know that they are in your path.
Okay.
They are walking with you. Feathers,
Yeah.
butterflies, dragonflies, specific things. And I would say to those who want to test the waters,
Yes.
be very specific about what you want,
Yes.
and it will appear. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
does that make
It
sense?
does. And I love that. And I've shared that with many people in my life. My thing is feathers, white feathers if I'm really wanting something very clear, right?
Mhm.
And I've always loved feathers. And so I've had people say, well, there's feathers everywhere. And I'm like, not not really. No.
No, no, not
Really.
really.
And
Not
I've
really.
had them show up in hotel rooms and different things where I've been traveling when I've been struggling with something. So nothing makes me happier when I'm out in the world and a feather's at my feet. Nothing makes me happier. And it's
That's
such a
right.
sweet reminder because we do get caught up in this world that we're in. You know, I think this world's a struggle, even though I've had a pretty great life. There's a lot of things that are happening in this world that I am very confused about. And
Yeah.
so to just have that moment of thank you, thank you.
Yes.
So great. So for someone like you who knows how to listen to spirit and knows how to communicate, can you share with people, like someone comes in for a reading, right?
Mhm.
Can you share with people, because I know there's a lot of different, there's like clairvoyant or intuitive, or I don't know the distinction. Could you maybe explain how that works?
So I'm so like labels, labels
Okay,
kind of bother me.
got it.
I'm just not a label kind of girl.
Okay.
But what I can just, I'll tell you what I do.
Yes.
So I can see, hear, feel, smell, just like your 3D senses. I
Okay.
have those senses from the 5D.
Okay. Okay.
So I can hear, I can see, I can smell,
Wow.
I can travel. I
Okay.
I have stigmatas, if you're
Oh,
familiar with that.
yes.
I've had quite a few stigmatas. Uh,
Okay.
so it's vast, and I believe the more that you do the work, this is. I mean, I've been doing this 50 years, over
Sure.
50 years,
Sure.
so I've learned in my journey how to connect in so many different ways,
Sure.
so everybody receives differently. I
Okay.
mean, some of us receive the same, some of us receive different.
Okay.
um, some use some scurry, some, which is, they focus on one ornate object and then
Okay.
they get their visions through that. Everybody everybody is different, but
Okay.
we all seem to get the same messages.
Okay. Yeah. That's my
Mhm,
next question. So someone comes in for a reading, and
mhm.
because the people that come in for a reading, we don't hear and see and smell things like you do, we don't know what to expect. So when someone comes in for a reading, do you just get what you get, or can you ask questions? Like, how does that information work back and forth?
Well, so first, it's all telepathy.
Okay.
So it's my mind to spirit.
Okay.
And they will just give me information. And
Okay.
as I'm receiving the information, I'm having a dialogue with them, who, what, where, so I can better inform my client. And then it always seems to be that by the end of the reading, whatever questions the client has had, those have been answered.
Okay.
So, but if they weren't, then I do have the ability to ask spirit. And if it's for the client to know, I will get the answer. If not, then it wasn't meant to be.
Okay. Yes. I mean, so that's an interesting point as well too. So for either people that enjoy learning about this or people that are new to this,
Mhm.
some of the questions are, I want to know what I want to know. And it sounds like maybe we're not supposed to know everything, because
That's
I hear
correct.
debunkers in particular say, well, why can't you just get the lottery numbers? Things like that. So can you describe how that works?
Yeah. So you can't manipulate spirit.
Thank you.
That's all there is to it. Whatever information I receive, and I say this to my clients, whatever I'm receiving, I give it to you exactly the way that I am hearing it. I don't change words. It's meant for them to receive it the way that I'm receiving it. So
Got
that's how I give it.
it. Okay.
Um, that's that's how it works. And I couldn't see, even if I try to go outside of the norm of it's almost like a routine that I go
Okay.
through with it. Even if I try to like veer off and try something different, it's like, oh,
Right.
no, 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 no. This is the way that it needs to be. And spirit will put me right back to where I need to be and
Got it.
continue the conversation.
Okay. I like that because along that same vein, I know that you've worked with the police and you've worked with other agencies to help. So how does that come about? Because my understanding is that the police are very what they see is what they get. So how difficult is it for the police to work with you, and how does that happen exactly?
Um, well, when I did work with the police, it was back when, it was a good 30 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and it was difficult
Yeah.
because back then, they just didn't believe. And but the information was too accurate for them to deny.
Yeah.
So I worked with the police for a couple of years, and then I figured out that it was just too much. It was too draining for me,
Okay.
and the politics and all of that. That's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe that was where I was supposed to go with my gifts,
Sure.
and I did what I needed to do, and I just stopped doing that because when it doesn't give me a good feeling,
Yeah.
and it wasn't what I was supposed to do. Now there are, amazing clairvoyants out there that do embrace that with the police and forensics and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's their wonderful gift. But
Yes.
it just didn't resonate for me.
Yes. And I appreciate that because that's such a good point to make as far as like why you do what you do, right?
Yeah.
Tell people, because my experience with you has been you're here to help. You're here to give information that I needed.
Mhm.
I've never, in my experience with you, I've probably known you over 10 years. You've never said, Melinda, go do this. You have to do that. You just
Mhm.
share with me, and then it's up to me to figure out what to
Right.
do. So is that what you're mostly doing now, is readings for people that just need some guidance along the way?
Yeah. Yes. Mostly, I would say that the majority of my clients come to me to connect with their loved ones,
Yeah.
and then their loved ones take over and they'll say, you need to do this,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. Um, but for the most part, they clients come to me to communicate with their loved ones to make sure that they're okay. Um, of course, everybody wants to know, have the signs, they want that one piece of information that's going to connect them two together.
Yeah.
And I find that so rewarding. It's just it's self-gratifying for me, that spirit chose me to be the one to connect, to loving people, to let them know that there is so much more after this.
Right.
This 3D world we live in
Yeah.
is, nothing compared to what awaits.
Right. And so that would be my next question. In your experience, you've learned so much. What can you share with everybody about what we have to look forward to? I think I said this to you before. In the world we live in here,
Mhm.
our death of our body is seen as a very sad thing.
Right.
And I get it because you love somebody, but I've
Mhm.
always wondered why it wasn't more of a celebration of you're going to the next level. Can you share some of that, of what you've learned?
What I've learned now, again, this is all only through my experiences
Yes.
and the information that I have received from higher beings.
Yes.
Um, it is that I got sidetracked.
That's okay. We were talking about,
Brain fart.
no, because I think it is important. I think that's been the biggest misconception of all about intuitives is, oh, well, I've been manipulated, they're just making things up. And so with you, it's important that you're just simply sharing information. And my question was, what have you learned from spirit? What has been your experience of what's the next level? What happens after this? What are some of the stories they've shared with you about where they're at and what they're doing?
Okay. First, I think the one of the most important things that I really want to share is that humans struggle with the thought of suicide.
Okay.
Okay, their loved ones that have committed suicide.
Yeah.
Okay, because in religion,
Yeah.
and I'm just throwing that out there as a wide cast. Okay,
Yes.
but you know, you hear the parents that come to me, and it is a suicide. They're so worried that their child is in hell.
Yes.
Okay, and I am here to tell you that that is the furthest thing from the truth. Okay, I have yet to experience a suicide, accidental, on purpose, that they are in a very dark place. That I have never witnessed that. Maybe some other intuitive medium clairvoyant has, but I have been very fortunate to understand that we all go back to love.
Okay.
There, you know, we create our hell. Okay,
Yes.
just understand that. Like we are living in hell.
Yeah.
Think about it, you know.
Yeah.
So the mindset of people is what they create. You can create a loving afterlife, or you can create a very dark afterlife. And some people who have had near death experiences have experienced that dark side, but it's the belief within them. That's what's coming out. And that's what I have learned.
Yes. Yes.
So, and I also learned that with suicides, when a suicide comes to me, or presents itself to me in spirit form, it's always with, and this is how I recognize, is they'll come to me with their head bowed, and then I know, because they carry shame and they
Okay.
carry grief for the people that they have left.
Okay.
Because with a suicide, they have to, once they cross, they have to endure all the pain and suffering that they have done to the people that they have left behind.
Okay.
So, but that is their hell for that
Got it.
split second.
Sure.
But then after that, it's just they are embraced, they are loved, and they are taught about themselves. You know, it's so funny, Melinda, because the average person does not understand that, you know, this is just a stage. You
Yeah.
know, this is just we're in school. You
Yeah.
know, and when you get to the other side, what is revealed to you is like, it puts all the pieces together, you know. And I've learned that. And you know, as much trials and tribulations we have to go through as humans, some of us can skate through this life and, you know, have a great, you know, not ever have to worry about money, or you know, just live a really good life. And then you have others like myself. Most, I would say, most light workers that I have come into contact with, we've all had major struggles in our lives,
Okay.
because it's the overcome, the overcome, the
Yeah.
overcome. And in order for you to be able to share with another person and say, you know, I know you can do this because I overcame it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that, see, I get sidetracked. I get, you got to keep me focused, Melinda.
That's okay. No, this is good. It's helpful information, because I will say, because we're speaking about our own experiences, my experience has been, because I've always been open to this, people that are not open to just seeing what is going on beyond this physical world will get very upset and very judgmental about all of this, right? Because they want to believe stuff in a box.
Mhm.
And I find that really heartbreaking, because if you're not willing to learn and
Mhm.
figure out why you're here and what you're doing, and as you know from my history with you, when I first, a friend had recommended you, which word of mouth is so powerful.
Yes, it is.
recommended you. And I went to you, very open. I've always been open to this, but not sure of my place in the world when I first started coming to you. I was a very broken person.
Mhm.
And as I've learned more about myself and as I've decided to create my own world, you know,
Yes.
my world has really brightened up in a very big way. And I think
Mhm.
for people that are concerned or maybe wanting to see what this is about, this is such a good exercise in just open yourself up and look around. No one's
Absolutely.
trying to trick you. No
Mhm.
one's trying to make you do anything. This is really about love and light and
Mhm.
learning. And I don't know anybody who hasn't had someone pass that they wouldn't like to talk to.
Right, right, right. And it's funny because I talk about love and light, and that's basically what we're all here to get back to is love and light. But it's all about self-love,
Yes.
because you can walk around and you can love, 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 love. But if you don't love what's in here,
Yeah.
how can you possibly love another?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Authentically.
I think it's a big lesson. I think it's a big, big lesson. I think
Mhm.
for whatever reason, the world we're in now does not teach us that. I think when we're little, we're open to it, but then the world we're in teaches us,
It
especially as
watches us.
women,
Mhm.
shut it down. Don't be this, don't be that.
Mhm.
If you're too sexy, men are going to hurt you. If you're too friendly, so we walk around being guarded. Who has time to open up to spirits when you're just trying to survive, right?
That's right. That's right. It's very true, Melinda. It is true.
So,
Everybody's guarded. It's and I keep hearing as of late, the veil is being lifted.
mm,
Little by little, this veil of what we were programmed to believe in this society, is it's slowly starting to open up, and people are truly seeing, especially with this COVID.
yes,
It has awakened so many people, bringing them back to family values,
yes,
like, which is beautiful. I mean, you have to find some sense of silver lining in such a dark period,
yes,
um, but it all comes back to, over and over and over in my readings, is love. Love, love, love. Love will conquer all,
yeah,
but you have to love yourself first.
yes. And I think that's harder. At least it was for me. It took me almost my lifetime to truly
Yes.
love myself. I thought I loved myself, but I was just pretending, because I
Mhm.
loved other people more than I loved myself.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. It's all of the when you can open up and look at yourself in all of those little dark places, your shadow
Yes.
sides, we
Yes.
all have them.
Yes, we do.
When you can learn to embrace those, even those parts of you,
Yeah.
the world is your oyster. Then you
Yeah.
start calling in all of that beauty and love.
Yeah.
It's being vulnerable in
Yes.
this world, and trusting that. And I think this is huge, when you walk through life knowing that you are divinely protected.
Oh, yes.
You can walk tall and
Yes.
just know that you are divinely protected.
Yes.
And I believe that every day of my life, that I am, is as bad as things were or are or
Yes.
can be, I'm divinely protected. And whatever you're going through,
Yes.
it's going to bring you something beautiful.
Yes.
It always does. It may
Yeah.
not feel it at the time.
Right.
Pain doesn't feel good, but
Nope.
if you didn't have that pain, you wouldn't know what joy was.
That is so true. When I was going through my journey with you, I didn't realize this, but what I was doing was waiting and then responding to the world, waiting and then responding to the world. I
Mhm.
was not creating my own light or my own. I was waiting and go, okay, now I respond this way. Once I realized what I needed to do and how I need to take care of myself first, because I was taught that's really selfish. Oh, that's so, how could you? Why would you put yourself
I
first?
know, I know, I
Right.
know.
And
Hmm.
so my favorite thing that I share now with my friends is I said, you know what they say on the airplane? Every time you get on a plane, what do they say? When those oxygen masks drop, you have to take care of yourself first. Everybody accepts that. No one says, how selfish. Please put it on other people first. No, you must take care of yourself first. And so,
Right.
going along that same line that you're talking about, like loving yourself first and the veil coming up,
Hmm.
what can you share with people that are listening about what you see happening in the world right now? Because clearly during this pandemic, this is a historical time in everyone's lives. This will be in
Hmm.
the history books. What is there any information you can share that you've garnered about what's going on right now?
Yes. So I have, I've had the wonderful opportunity to speak to um, people that have passed from COVID.
Okay.
Anyway, so I feel that, you know, all of this COVID unfolding, and I feel from what Spirit has given me
Uh-huh.
is that this is bringing us back to the basics of life. It
Okay.
is balancing um, our universe. It is balancing the earth. It is balancing the money scale. It is balancing the love scale. It is balancing the medical scale. This is happening to bring us back to the fundamentals of life,
Okay.
to appreciate the people in your life. You know, I mean, look at the sacrifice that has unfolded with the nurses and doctors and, you know, your frontline workers. I mean, to me, those are the angels, you know, that are making things happen.
Right.
um, I just feel that something beautiful is going to be created out of this darkness. I
Okay.
truly believe that, with no doubt in my mind.
Okay.
And you've already, I feel that if you pay attention, you can see where things are changing.
Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm seeing more women and more ethnicities of all kinds of people, at least in the United States, because this is where I live,
Mhm.
becoming more involved and more aware. I feel like we've been heavily dominated by a particular demographic, and that
Right.
seems to be changing for the better, which
Mhm.
I think is for the
Yes.
better.
The
Um,
scales of balance are definitely going to happen.
which
It's
you
it's it's inevitable. It has to happen.
right.
It has to happen. It you know that saying, history repeats itself?
Yes.
It repeats itself because you didn't get it right the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, the last pandemic, what was it, 1918
Yes.
to 1920,
Yeah.
right? I mean, my grandmother, she lived through that, and she's 100, she's going to be 101, and she's living through this
Wow.
pandemic.
Wow.
So it's you know, I feel that this is truly, truly, truly going to balance the scales for
That's
sure.
amazing. Do you see more? I mean, clearly we're in turmoil a lot more than what we have been. I think from my lifetime, there's always been wars and battle. There's always been turmoil for as long as I've known. Do
Mhm.
you see with the pandemic, with more people involved in politics and aware of policy like we've never been before? Do you see more? I guess big. I don't know the right word. Like
That
destruction.
you're a higher 1%, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, is that is that going to change? Because right now we're so lopsided.
Yes, I feel that I do feel that it's going to change. I
Okay.
truly, truly, and I'm not going to say it's not going to happen overnight or, you know, this year, but it is slowly, it has to balance.
Okay.
And that's what I hear over and over and over through my meditation is it has to balance.
Okay. That's
That's the only way that there's harmony,
yes.
is there has to be balance. So, you know,
Yes. That makes
It's a sense of community, people coming together as a community, and you know, being together for each other, you know,
yeah,
it's about community.
yeah.
It has to be.
Right. It makes sense. I mean, I guess I've always felt like the majority of people really want to get along and really want to live a fruitful life. During these last since, since 2016 really, I've seen a lot more hate than what I recognized was
Oh
available
yeah, oh
to the
yeah.
world. Is
Mhm.
is that coming out now for a reason so we can deal with it? Like what's that about?
Absolutely. It's coming out of the shadows.
Yes.
It's been hidden,
Yes.
and now it's coming out of the shadows, so it's in everybody's face so they can see what's going on behind the scenes,
Yeah.
you know. And you talk about low vibrating energies.
Yeah.
There you have it. What
Okay.
happened, what happened at the Capitol,
Yes.
all low vibrating energies.
Yeah.
Look at the harm. Is that love?
Right.
Did that represent love in any way, shape,
Yeah.
or form?
No.
Was there any handshaking? Was there any hugging? No.
No.
It was that was revealed to the world. So you
Yes.
know what's going on in the depths, in the darkness in this
Okay.
country.
Yeah. I think that's fascinating. I think we've had this conversation before with COVID, with everybody, the whole world, right? The whole world, not just the United
Mhm.
States, the
That's
whole
right.
world had to stop. And because we've had to stop, we've had to pay attention to things we haven't normally paid attention to previously. Like I've always voted, but I've never been deeply embedded in
Right.
politics.
Right.
Now I feel deeply embedded because of choices that are being made, and I'm learning about laws that I had no idea were
Right.
existing. Um, those things are all coming to light. So I find
That's
it
right.
refreshing, even though they're horrifying, that at least we now know about them, right?
Yes, you have to. It's educating the world. It's educating. This is that's what I'm saying is, even though it's a horrible thing,
Yes.
the pandemic, and all the lives that are lost and families that have been torn apart because of it, there is a silver lining, you know, and it's awareness. This is opened up the majority's awareness, you know.
Okay.
And that's so important, you
Yes.
know. It truly is important. I
Yes.
mean, look at all the information that we have absorbed, you know, in this past year, you
Yes.
know. Jesus, it's amazing. And I will say this, 2016, and you know, as up to here, and I don't like to get into politics,
Yeah.
but I will say that the president that was in office really did bring up all of that darkness. He
Yeah.
brought it to light.
Yeah.
He brought it to light so
Yeah.
people could see. So is however you want to talk about that president,
Yeah.
um, he had a purpose.
Yes.
We all have a purpose. He had a purpose. He was elected for a reason,
Yes.
to reveal what was in the darkness.
That makes sense. That
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And so have you gotten any messages about the United States in particular compared to the rest of the world? Because I know in the past we've always been seen as this superpower, but I feel like in the last few years we've lost a lot of respectability with the rest of the world. Have you gotten any messages about the United States in particular as far as where we're at or where we're going?
The only thing that I have received was that all I kept hearing is unified. We are going to unify.
Okay.
So what, you know, and I'm thinking the whole world is going to unify. And we had to with this COVID. If you
Yes.
think about it, we
Yes.
all had to come together as a world, as a nation, you know?
Yes.
So unfortunately, we still have those energies, which is ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
You still have those egos
Right.
in place in certain areas in this world that eventually they're going to have to go away.
Right. No, it makes sense. And you and I had talked previously about when you were talking about people that had passed from COVID, and you had spoken to people that were on the other side. Could you just share a little bit, without sharing personal information, just to help some people that have maybe lost other people from
Sure.
COVID, what you've learned?
Mhm. I have learned, and they're beautiful beings, but I have learned that there was no suffering, that they were witnessing their body going through that trauma, but the soul was already in another place,
Okay.
usually with their family,
Okay.
comforting their family as the family is witnessing the passing of their loved one.
Okay.
So I think the biggest thing that I should share is that um, the people that passed from COVID, they were blessed in not having to physically endure the suffering that was witnessed.
Okay. So when people were there with their loved ones, the body was there, but the soul had chosen
To leave.
to leave.
That's how it works.
Okay. Explain that for people.
Okay, so whenever there is trauma, or let's say an accident, okay, and that wasn't the soul's purpose to experience that accident,
Okay.
that soul is automatically taken out before that even happens.
Okay.
So you think of impact, that is just the body impacting, it's not the soul.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, it does to me, but I want people to hear this, that if this is a new thought for them, to give them some peace.
It's okay if I explain it to you this way. Let's just say, and it's been witnessed. I mean, people have gotten this on camera, where they see, the accident, but then they see the soul leaving the body, and it's just hovering over. It
Yeah.
happens in surgery.
Uh-huh.
People witness, their surgeon, they hear conversations, but they're under anesthesia. That's because the soul chose to leave the body and observe.
Okay.
And that's what it is. It's a matter of the spirit observing the situation.
Okay.
It's not the situation pulling in the soul or the spirit.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. I do.
Okay.
I think that makes sense. It's just something we've not been taught,
Right. It's observation. The spirit is observing the human body.
Okay.
And the effects of what happens in that transition to the family. It's all witness. It's
Okay.
observation.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. I appreciate that. If it gives anybody any comfort, because we're really here doing this to share information, to share your experience, to share my experience, and then however that helps anybody else. Before we wrap this up, we're gonna continue doing this and share information. But before we wrap this up today, could you share with people, anybody that's watching this, can you give them any kind of guidance on, let's say they're listening to you saying, "Oh, I've never been taught this. I don't know what to do about this." How would you guide people into being maybe more open to receiving anything along these lines, that they can learn and open up their world a little bit?
I would say that everybody has experienced it.
Yeah.
It's undeniable. And
Yeah.
even the ones, look, I've had a lot of naysayers come and sit in front of
I
me.
bet.
And I love those naysayers because it just, it validates spirit so much more. But we all have experienced it. Every single one of us. It is, if you want to block it, so be it. That is your free will.
Yep.
But I can tell you, if you experience it once, you're going to experience it again. and again and again. And the more that you open yourself up, and when I say open yourself up, it's just being mindful, paying attention. Like I said earlier, if you do want to communicate with somebody that has crossed over, be specific about what you're asking for. You know, make it small to begin with.
Okay.
And then, you know, you ask, let me just share one thing with you.
Yeah.
And maybe this will help people understand. My son and I, my son has passed. It will be 5 years, April 24th this year.
Okay.
And when he passed, you know, I thought I was prepared, but I really wasn't. And he, you know, he was gifted, and I thought our communication would be so easy. Like I thought that he would just form in front of me and, you know, talk about being a little arrogant, right? It didn't work that way. I got very angry that it didn't work that way, but so I started having these conversations with him, and I said, okay, Jay, let's step outside the box. I don't want pennies. I don't want dimes. I don't want quarters. I want silver dollars. I want you to send me a silver dollar.
Okay.
The heavier the metal, it's harder for spirit to manipulate. Okay. But I mean, I shouldn't say it that way because they can do anything they want. But in my experience.
Yes.
So I'm asking my son to bring me these silver dollars. Just give me a silver dollar. A couple of days go by, nothing. I'm like, all right, Jay, what's going on? Like, I asked you for a silver dollar, not paper silver dollar.
Right.
I want a silver dollar. So one night I was sitting on the couch and I'm watching a show. It was these guys that would go into your garage, they would clean it out and they could keep whatever was in it.
Yes.
So they get to the back of the garage and there's a refrigerator and there's a big plastic container on top of the refrigerator. And the guy goes, oh, what's in there? So he pulls down the plastic container and it goes to commercial, of course, right?
Yes.
So they come back and I'm like, what the heck's in that plastic container?
Yeah.
So they open up the plastic container and they both go, oh my God. And they zoom in on the plastic container. Well, it was a good sized container. It was filled with
silver dollars.
Silver dollars.
Yeah.
Coins, paper, you name it. It was in that box. And I just thought, how perfect. He's like, hey, Mom, I'm not sending you one. I'm going to give you all of it.
All of it. See?
So that's how it works, you know?
Yes.
I could go on and on, like I said.
Yes.
On and on.
Well, and we will, but I think we went over a lot of information this first time. So for anybody that's already had great experiences, you know, share your thoughts with us. If you're new to this, ask questions, you know, Michelle will be happy to answer them. We're going to continue to do this, but to wrap this, can you let people know, anyone that's interested in reaching out to you, how can they reach out to you if they would like to?
Yeah, they can email me. It's Thecalling222888 at yahoo.com.
Okay. And we will also, this is going to be on YouTube, iTunes. We'll also put that information down there if you want to reach with Michelle. So Michelle, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm excited to talk to you again. I think this has been a lot of information. And again, we're here to share. We're here to help. These are our personal experiences, and we want you to do with it what's going to suit you best, with love and with light.
Yes, absolutely. Love and light for sure.
All right. So we'll talk to everybody soon. Thank you so much, Michelle. And I thought this was a beautiful experience.
Thank you, Melinda. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.